Welcome back to the Daily Poem here on the Close Reads Podcast Network. I'm David Kern. Today's poem is by Gwyn Harwood, an Australian poet who lived from 1920 to 1995. She is generally considered one of the greatest, the best of Australia's poets. She published over 420 works, including 386 poems and 13 librettos. And the most significant poetry prize in Australia is called the Gwyn Harwood Prize. The poem that I'm going to read today is called A Game of Chess. It goes like this. It's noted that it's to John Brodie. Nightfall. The town's chromatic nocturne wakes dark brilliance on the river. Colors drift and tremble as enormous shadows lift Orion to his place. The heart remakes that peace torn in the blaze of day. Inside your room are music, warmth, and wine, the board with chessmen set for play. The harpsichord begins a fugue. Delight is multiplied. A game. The heart's impossible ideal. To choose among a host of paths and know that if the kingdom crumbles, one can yield and have the choice again. Abstract and real joined in their trance of thought, two players show the calm of gods above a troubled field. So this poem is actually a Petrarchan sonnet. It's got a octave of 8 lines and then a sestet, 6 lines. And although you might not have heard it while I was reading it, there is, if you're looking at it, there is some, pretty standard Petrarchan rhymes going on here. But the way that she uses enjambment keeps those lines flowing and the poem, drifting forward. So it's not as sing-songy as a lot of sonnets. This poem opens with this incredible image, just the word nightfall and then a colon. The town's chromatic nocturne wakes dark brilliance on the river. Colors drift and tremble as enormous shadows lift Orion to his place. Boy, is that moody. There's something noirish about it, right? You can feel the cold coming off the water. The kind of like, you know how when you're walking in a dark place, maybe you're by yourself, maybe it's a little chilly out, maybe you're a little bit unsure of where you are, where you're going. And so you kind of, maybe you're not running, but you half jog to where you're going, and you feel like you're scurrying along like an ant in a very big world. That's kind of how I imagine this narrator moving along as nightfall has come, trying to get to wherever she's going, to get to this house at the end of a long day. The heart remakes that piece torn in the blaze of day. And then inside, it's perfect. There's music, a game of chess. Just as you feel like that little ant, that little pawn all day long, now you flip that around. You control the board for a little bit. And then there's that amazing sestet. Begins with a game and then another colon, mirroring the beginning of the poem where it's just nightfall and then a colon. A game, the heart's impossible ideal. And she explains what that ideal is. To choose among a host of paths and know that if the kingdom crumbles, one can yield and have the choice again. To know, a game is an impossible ideal because we know that the choices we make are not eternal. They're not final. My dad always says that sports are so great because they don't matter. Depends on how you look at that, in my opinion, but this is kind of what that poem is getting at. And then the line is really interesting that I'm, it leaves you wanting more at the end here. There's a real surprise in this final couple lines. Abstract and real joined in their trance of thought, comma, two players show the calm of gods above a troubled field. So again, we get this idea that you can control things, right? But then there's this bit, abstract and real, joined in their trance of thought, two players. So one player is abstract and one player is real. And they're joined in their trance of thought. They're joined in the trance that is over the board. And I can't figure out which one is meant to be abstract and which one is meant to be real. Maybe the point is that in each of us, there's an abstract and the real joined together. Or maybe one person does represent the abstract and one does represent the real. But because there's this sort of mystery in the poem about who is who, what does this mean? You're left thinking about it. It's more than just sort of a moody poem, right? It's more than a poem that presents a mood and then offers a sort of counter mood to it. It does that. There's a bit of a narrative going on here, but then it asks this question at the end by presenting this idea, presenting these lines. And the poem is just thrown into a sort of mystery that you think about maybe while you're walking along on a cold night, right? So once again, here is a game of chess. And I hope that in your day today, there is a harpsichord and a game of chess, maybe some warmth and some wine at the end of a long, cold day. Nightfall. The town's chromatic nocturne wakes dark brilliance in the river. Colors drift and tremble as enormous shadows lift Orion to his place. The heart remakes that piece torn in the blaze of day. Inside your room are music, warmth and wine, the board with chessmen set for play. The harpsichord begins a fugue. The light is multiplied. A game. The heart's impossible ideal, to choose among a host of paths and know that if the kingdom crumbles, one can yield and have the choice again. Abstract and real joined in their trance of thought, two players show the calm of gods above a troubled field. This has been the Daily Poem. Thanks so much for listening. Be back tomorrow with another poem for you.